Have you ever traveled abroad and then come back feeling energized, feeling refreshed, and also feeling empowered and more aware of yourself? So I did not realize that travel could be transformational. I mean, I know travel is amazing, but that there was actually an intention behind it, that you could really build your personal growth and also learn about yourself, build your self awareness when you travel, if you were very intentional about it. That travel is more than just sightseeing and checking things off your bucket list. And I have to give credit to Vile Bellin, who is a member of the Expat Woman membership. And she introduced me to this whole concept of transformational travel. Hi, Marlena. Thanks for joining me. So, today we're going to talk about how travel can transform you, how to be intentional about it, some tips, and I'm also going to share Vile's video, a little bit about her video, because she did talk at the Expat Woman Audio Summit last year, and her topic was on transformational travel. So, instead of reinventing the wheel, I thought it'd be good to watch her video and then share some of our insights, what we learned from the video, your own experiences with travel. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Nyna Caputi. I'm the founder and CEO of the Expat Woman. I'm also a LinkedIn coach. I love to travel, especially discovering new countries, new cultures, and I'm so happy that thanks to Vele, I learned about transformational travel, and now I try to travel with more intention, with more purpose. And I haven't visited that many countries, maybe 20 plus. I'd love to visit every country in the world, but at least I've got to visit a few. And I would say I really lived in a bubble before I traveled abroad for the first time. The first time I traveled was abroad. Abroad was, I was living in India, and I traveled with my mom to Egypt and Israel. I was in like 22, 23. Yeah, and so I got my passport, and then my uncle was the Indian ambassador to Egypt. So he lived in this beautiful house along the river Nile. He had all these, the chauffeur, all these, the help, cooks, gardeners, everything in this beautiful mansion. So obviously that experience was fantastic because we were picked up from the airport. We didn't have to do a thing. We stayed in this beautiful house, and because he was the Indian ambassador to Egypt, he got access to a lot of things. Like, for instance, we got to go into the museum. I've forgotten what the museum is, but where some of the pharaoh's mummies, the mummified bodies, were kept, and we got to see them. We had special entry to those places. And of course, we got to go to see the sound and light show at the pyramids. And then my mom and I, because we are Catholic, we wanted to see the Holy Land, which in Israel, you want to see the place where Jesus was born, where he died. So we took a bus across the Sinai Desert into Israel. Now, at that time, there was no Indian embassy in Israel. It was just, I don't think there was any, India at that time didn't have good relations with Israel. So we did face a lot of issues at the border. They were very curious to know why we were entering the country, why we were coming from Egypt, and also things like do you have any weapons, are you carrying any drugs? And it was just my mom and me. This was our first time abroad besides being in Egypt, and because my uncle couldn't come, he was busy, so it was just my mom and me on this bus. So that was my first experience with like a hardship in another country, with experiencing, and again, not everyone does. It just happened at that time there were very few Indians going to Israel, and we were coming from Egypt on a bus, etc. And they withheld our passports for over an hour, and the whole bus was waiting for us. So that was an experience. And then and after that, just trying to figure out moving around I remember one before that, when we got back on the bus after they they did all the checks on us and realized we were not a threat. Everyone on the bus clapped when we got on the bus, and no one seemed angry. They all seemed very nice, and I thought that was wonderful. And then, of course, we traveled around in Israel. We saw different places, and the other thing was in Egypt, we had been taken care of by my uncle and aunt, and we didn't have to buy anything. Everything was just available to us, and suddenly we had to fend for ourselves. And that was when I did conversions for the first time, like from the Indian rupee to, I think it was the shekel. Like, how much does, wow, a cup of coffee costs this much? In India, we can get it for this much. And I wasn't thinking about that, but those are experiences that really, you might know about, currency conversions without traveling to another country. But when you're experiencing it, that's a learning, right? That's a true learning, that things can be different in different countries. And then, we were afraid to spend money because we didn't know if we'd get stuck in Israel and whether we'd run out of money. And then seeing all these amazing uh, things that Israel has done to the desert was so lush and green, and seeing all kinds of people. I'd never seen such diversity both in Egypt and in Israel, because in India, we did have folks from other countries visit, but because Egypt, Cairo, we went Cairo such, and we went to all the tourist spots. I saw so much diversity, and the same thing is in Israel. So that was my first, again, exposure and experience to very diverse populations, because there were so many tourists. And of course, Israel is a melting pot of different cultures. So that is my first experience with traveling abroad. But coming back to transformational travel, so travel can really help you with your personal growth, with expanding your mind, your horizons, learning about other cultures, also cultural intelligence, because it makes you more aware of what other people, how the way they do stuff, what they value, how you communicate with them. So there's a lot of power in traveling abroad, and it's different from being an expat because it's short lived. With travel, you're only going there for a short time, so you want to really make the most of your experiences. With When you move as an expat, you're usually you're going to be there at least for 6 months, a year. For instance, I've been in San Francisco for almost 22 years at this point, or 23, I think 23, 22, 20. I can't count right now. And I still haven't visited some of the tourist spots like Alcatraz, which is in San Francisco. It used to be a prison. It's on an island there. I haven't, because I think, oh, I'll visit someday. I'm not going to move from here. And even learning now, I've started being more intentional about still learning about the history of San Francisco, visiting different tourist spots, because I feel, if I'm even though I've been here so long, I want to understand the culture. So if you're joining me, let me know where you're calling in from, and what has your experience been like when you traveled, or which was the first country you traveled to abroad, and has there been any transformation? I'll take a sip of coffee while I wait for your responses. And I know the chat takes a while of to for people's answers to show up in the chat. So let me cover a couple of things, and then we'll watch Vilay's a little clip from her video. So I do take notes because I can't remember all the stuff. That's part of why I like live streams, because people are more understanding when I read out my script. So as I said before, transformational travel goes beyond sightseeing. It's really, generally when you think of traveling abroad, you think about just, sightseeing and trying new dishes, escaping from whatever life you have currently, getting away from the 9 to 5 grind. And some people, when they travel, they will only stay in resorts and will only mix with other tourists. And again, sometimes it's just easier because you're going with a travel company or travel group, and you don't really experience what it's like to be a local. And that's why now when we travel abroad, we usually stay in Airbnbs in neighborhoods. So we are getting a chance to see what it's like living in that city or country, because neighborhoods will be quieter. They'll have neighborhood stores and markets, etc. So it's been a great experience. Earlier we would mostly stay in hotels, and it's not the same. So I think that's one thing, trying to stay with the locals. And usually the Airbnb host will give you I'll give you a book or give you some tips on what to see, where to eat, how to be live like a local. I sometimes think of travel, especially travel abroad, as being a temporary expat, and that's how I look at it now. So when I travel abroad now, I do my research. I actually use ChatGPT, but I also join Facebook groups for a specific country. Like last year we went to Japan and Australia, so I joined Facebook groups for Japan and for Australia. Travel to Japan, travel to Australia. I asked ChatGPT to help me with, what's the weather like, what are some of the do's and don'ts in that country, how can I make the most of my trip, etc. So some tourist questions, but also cultural intelligence, trying to get an understanding of how people behave in that country. What should you do, how can you respect the culture, how can you, and also things that are, like, always like to bring back souvenirs, but things that are important in that country. For instance, in Japan, there's a lot of tourist stuff, like, Kit Kat, different flavored chocolates. I don't know if that's really a Japanese thing, but then I was looking for foods from Japan that I could bring back, and artifacts, the same thing in Australia, because Australia's again become a very melting pot of culture. So there's so many different kinds of foods there, and I was trying to find authentic things that were authentic to Australia. And in terms of the cultural intelligence, for instance, in Japan, it's a very respectful country. People really respect each other's space. You dress very modestly, especially when you go into temples. No showing your midriff, no wearing anything too revealing. You do not tip. They consider it an insult when you tip them. You do not eat while you're walking. Some of these things, which, since I've lived in the US so long, I've kind of picked up. You don't talk on the trains. You definitely don't eat on the trains. There's no garbage bins, so you bring your garbage home. If you have anything, you drunk a bottle of water and there's nowhere to dispose it. And there's a lot of history, and there's a lot of reasons why these things are the way they are. But that's where the learning comes in. You're learning about another culture, and with it you're growing. And every time you have a bad experience, say a plane gets cancelled, or you get scammed or duped. For instance, in Switzerland, we went there 2 years ago, and my wallet got stolen from my bag on the train from Switzerland to Germany. And I just assumed, oh, Switzerland's such a posh country, everyone's so wealthy, even the tourists are so wealthy, no one will steal anything. And then my wallet with all my euros, my dollars, my Swiss francs, and also my Indian rupees, because we were going to India after that. All of that went. Luckily, I didn't have my passport, but again, it was a challenge trying to figure out, what do I do? My credit cards have gone. But it just makes you, these challenges, just like when you move abroad and you face challenges, when you travel to, not everything is a bed of roses. Things are going to, something is going to happen. Something's not going to work out the way you wanted to. Like in Japan, it was really hot while we were there last year. Like, and then, I saw people carrying these little fans, and people were wearing very light clothes, so they, wouldn't, and drinking a lot of water. And again, that, you think, oh, I'm going to this beautiful place, I'll be fine, I'm coming from India, so it's, I'm used to the heat, and it was different kind of heat. So it's again a challenge, but you learn how to cope with it, and all that helps with your personal growth, your personal development, making you more resilient, making you learn how to overcome these challenges, and just helps you with your growth. Let me see in if anyone has said anything in the chat. No one is saying anything, so I'll just continue talking. Okay, so that's a little bit about the travel, and why is it important to be intentional about how we travel. Intentionality, sorry, turns any trip into a potential growth experience, right? So when you travel with purpose, whether it's to learn, some people travel because they've got had a, they had a something hard in their life. For instance, when my aunt in India lost her husband, she traveled to the US and Europe. I think she took 3 months to help with her grief, and she traveled around, and she stayed with different friends and relatives and visited different tourist spots. But it was intentional, because I think she had to deal with her grief, she had to heal, and maybe also reflect. It also pushes ourselves travel is sounds fun and glamorous, but sometimes it's not easy. For instance, I'm looking at traveling in the summer with my family to India and maybe South Korea. So first I have to go online and find tickets, see what's the best deal, figure out dates that will work for me, then find Airbnbs, figure out, food, transport, etc. So there's a lot of work that goes behind it, unless you're really wealthy and you get someone to do all that for you. And then it's not really travel if everything's done for you and you're staying in some resort with other wealthy tourists and just going to the tourist spots and, as I said, just mingling with other people who are also visitors to the country. That's not really travel. So I think when we travel, we also have to step out of our comfort zone and do the hard work to make the trip worth it. Okay, so it's more than just consumption, like, oh, I'm going to go there, I'm going to see these tourist spots, I'm going to eat this food, but it's more than that, right? And it leads to change in mindset, a deeper understanding of yourself for sure, and a shift on how you view the world. I think when you travel to different countries, it makes you, or even one country, it makes you more empathetic. As I said, I learned about the culture in Japan. When we went to each country, like, you learn about how people, do business, how people communicate. Sometimes there's myths and rumors. Like when I was coming to New York to study film, my now she's my mother-in-law, but my that time my he wasn't my husband yet, but his mom was like really worried, and she lived in the US, but she lived in Oregon, and she was like, it's really dangerous, her coming to New York by herself, and tell her to carry pepper spray, and it wasn't as bad as it seemed. Or like some people think, oh, India's a disaster, it's not safe. Or think about Switzerland. I thought Switzerland was so safe, and it turned out that the only time my wallet has ever got stolen abroad was in Switzerland. So it does give you, you realize that in the end it's the same everywhere. You've got to be careful about your belongings. People are different in different countries, but we have the same wants and needs. So it includes discomfort, but there's also connection and personal challenge. And talking about connection, whichever country I travel to now, I go onto LinkedIn. So as I mentioned, I'm a LinkedIn coach. So I go to LinkedIn and see who do I know in that country, and then I connect with them. And I, say, do you want to meet up for coffee? So I've been very lucky that I've been able to meet my connections who I didn't know personally, because they've been in other countries, but somehow we connected, and I get to meet them in person for coffee, learn more about what life is like in that country from them. They might tell me, hey, let's go to this place to eat or drink, and introduce me to foods, or introduce me or tell me about places I should see. So you also want to build those connections, not just going with intention about how you want to plan your trip, but also who can you meet? Can you meet any locals? What can you learn from them? And maybe taking gifts for them. I like taking little gifts because they're making the time to meet me. So I might take, since I'm coming from the US, I'll take something from the US that I know they won't get in that country. Or if I'm traveling back from India, I might take something from India for them. If the country's on the way back, because I do go to India every year to visit my mom. And even in India, when I go, it's been so long since I left the country, I still do some amount of intentional traveling. Again, my mom lives in Bangalore. I lived in Bangalore for a long time, but I never played tourist in Bangalore. So now I do play tourist, but with intention. And the other thing I do, because I like doing videos, is I've started shooting videos of every place that I visit. And I do have to edit a lot of them, but I have put up a few videos of my experiences in the countries I visited, because I'm hoping other people who plan to go there can watch it and see what it's like. Or even if they can't travel there, it's a little window into that country, because I'm the expat woman, and it's all about international living and experiences and cultural intelligence and showcasing what it's like living abroad. Okay, so we spoke about what makes a travel experience transformational. Can any trip become transformational, or does it require specific conditions? So any trip can be transformational. It can even be within as I said, even in the city you're living in, you can say, I want to know more about this city. I want to learn to love it. And I think for new expats, that's something very helpful. If you decide, I'm going to travel around this city, and Maybe you live in a city, there's not much to see, but you can still, maybe the trees, maybe there's a park, maybe there's a trail, there's a restaurant that everyone's talking about that sells local food. You can still be a traveler in your own city and travel around the city or the town or the country with intention. And you don't need a retreat in Bali. Some people think about travel as going to Bali and being on this beautiful place and doing yoga in the morning and having fresh fruit. Transformational travel can happen. You're taking a train ride somewhere or walking in a new neighborhood. As I said, if you're an expat, maybe just walking around in a new neighborhood. You live in one neighborhood and you say, I'm going to walk in that next neighborhood, look at the houses, look at the architecture, look at the trees, the flowers. It's just about being present and open. And the problem many of us have when we travel is we're on our phones all the time. We're always like taking photographs of this whatever we see, and that takes away from the experiences of being present. So I spoke a little bit about the benefits and impact. As I said before, there's a lot of unpredictable situations with travel, missed flights, language barriers, getting lost. But these moments build problem solving skills. And something I forgot to mention, it does enhance your problem solving skills because you don't have the time to figure things out. You have to think on the fly. When we went to Germany 2 years ago, I couldn't get into the Airbnb. They gave me some instructions I just couldn't figure out. And then we stopped a passerby and she called the folks. And because I think, I don't know, maybe our phones weren't working at that time. We got the error low, I think, but she called them on her local phone and then they told her how we could get in. So again, it's like we ask people for help. The same thing in Japan, we couldn't find an Airbnb and we asked a local guy there and he helped us find it. So it's like, how do I solve this problem? Can I ask someone for help? What can and I'm talking about in terms of finding the place where you want to stay, but there could be so many other things that happen and where you have to put on your problem solving hat and try to figure it out. So that's how it can really build your problem solving skills, emotional flexibility, and being adaptable. The more we overcome, the stronger and more confident we become. And I definitely think travel makes you more confident, traveling abroad, learning different cultures, etc. So yeah, and it also helps you with making decisions because you have to make that decision. Am I going to take this public transport? Am I going to take a taxi? Am I going to see this place? Or it's raining, so I can't do any outdoor sightseeing. So am I going to stay indoors and find like a museum that I can go visit, or just stay in the Airbnb, or go to a restaurant and eat, right? And then being in an unfamiliar environment fosters mindfulness, gratitude, and optimism. So new environments heighten our awareness. We do become more aware when we're in an unfamiliar city or a place or a neighborhood. And sometimes we notice more, we pause more. But another important thing is feeling gratitude for the small things. Like I said, these wherever we've gone, people have been very helpful with helping us find maybe an Airbnb or what train should we take, etc. And it makes you more grateful, right? So the present moment awareness often spills into daily lives after the trip because it makes you more grateful, it makes you more aware of surroundings, and then when you come back, you continue to bring those back with you, those learnings. Okay. So so s- but in terms of missed opportunities, I covered this earlier, but some people are just, they go abroad but they stay on a resort, on a hotel, they just go to those places, they sightsee, they go to the tourist traps and eat over there, and buy those souvenirs, and they come back and they feel that, okay, they saw the place but they don't come back with any new perspectives, or they just stay in that bubble. Because sometimes it's easy to just go through a tour guide, have everything taken care of, because when you step out of that bubble, there is discomfort, right? There are chances you may not be able to do certain things, you might face certain challenges, right? So it's just like, oh, this year I want to travel to Japan, and then I'm going to go with this tour group, I'm just going to stay with them in this hotel, they'll take us to these places, and then you're back. You don't do any research, you don't do anything on your own. And I'm not saying that's wrong, because some people, they just don't have the time, but I think their experiences will be different from someone who decides to do it on their own. Okay, so in terms of how can someone turn a typical sightseeing trip into a transformational one, choose experiences that connect you with people or culture, and slow down. Sometimes we want to see like 10 different things in a day. We're just going, taking photographs, posting on Instagram, and we're not really slowing down, taking a pause, trying to soak in the beauty, the culture. Some people suggest having a journal, so daily you journal daily, and be open to learning, not just about the place but about yourself in the place. How do I fit in this place? What am I feeling? Do I feel different? Do I feel afraid? Do I feel excited? Do I feel lost? So those are things to think about. So yes, the journaling, meditation, they play an important role in travel. These are intentional practices of taking time to reflect, uh, instead of making experiences random, turning them into meaningful lessons you can carry back home. So when you have faced discomfort, maybe the buses aren't running. Last this week there was, I think, a big power shortage in Portugal, France, and I forgot which other country. So I was thinking about the tourists, right? They might have paid a lot of money to get to those places, and now they can't even travel around. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me, say, what is this teaching me, right? Growth often hides inside missed buses, language mix-ups, etc. So instead of complaining about it, think about what is this teaching me, that I have to be flexible, that I have to be open to challenges, and then I have to learn how to navigate them, and I have to go with the flow. I have to just, you know, be open to this. When I made the decision to travel abroad, or even if you're an expat and you made the decision to move to a new country, you have to lean into all the challenges, the hurdles that you face, right? So this is something that I looked up. It said, what kind of questions should someone ask themselves before, during, or after a transformational journey? So they say, before, you say, what do I hope to learn or shift? During, how am I feeling and why? And then after, how have I changed and how can I apply that at home? So this is really being very intentional about your travel, right? And then how can you integrate those lessons during travel into your everyday life? By identifying what you discovered, like values, culture, joy, and bringing them into your routine. Maybe it's prioritizing connections, walking more, or approaching life with more curiosity and less judgment. Like we're so easy to judge. And also when you travel abroad or move to another country, we judge. I still do it. I still compare to the US to India even now, and sometimes I'll criticize the US or I'll criticize India, and I have to realize each country has its pros and cons. And that again makes you grateful for the country you live in, the country you are from, but also just opens you up to this whole new world, and it's amazing, and you want to tap into it. Okay, so with that, maybe we'll watch a little bit of relays. Yeah, so Marlena was saying, yes, Marlena said Switzerland. She wouldn't expect that. I know, Marlena. I thought like, oh, it's Switzerland. I'll be fine then see what happened. I had my guard down. Usually, I'm very careful with my wallet. I'll have it very close to my chest. I had it in a bag, a handbag, like a small bag, and the woman was jostling me on the train, and I didn't even realize that she was pushing me. And while she was doing that, she took my wallet. Like I was so unaware of it. So just need to have your guard up, and you can't make any assumptions. You can't assume, oh, because this country is wealthy and expensive, I'll be safe, right? So that's what I find about travel too. It's very powerful, uh, because it people can write books about it, you can read all about it, but your unique experiences will be different from someone else, and you grow with that experience. Um, yeah, so Marlena says, now I know I don't like to plan, just get lost and go. Yes and no. I think that you should do some amount of planning, Marlena, like in terms of, like before, I would just go on a trip. I wouldn't do anything, and then we just figured, oh, we're staying here, let's go see this, that. Now I'm a little bit more strategic, and as I said before, I use Chat GPT to give me tips. I join Facebook groups because I know I have a limited amount of time. I don't want to be rushing all over the place, so I want to see things, but I want to eat the unique cuisines. For instance, I didn't know in Australia you could eat kangaroo meat. And for some people that's really gross, but they have so many kangaroos. I guess it's actually cheaper than beef, and I wanted to try it. I didn't like it, but it was still interesting. Yeah. So Marlena said, yeah, planning and time for, yes, absolutely. So I get what you're saying, Marlena. It's not like making it too structured and too rigid, your travel planning, that you just don't take time to slow down, to enjoy, to absorb the beauty, to walk around neighborhoods. For sure, I totally agree with you. Travel is not just like, I'm going to this country, so I want to see everything, and I'm there only for 3 days, so I'm just going to go, 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 go. I think it's better to spend time seeing fewer places and being intentional, being aware, enjoying it, not getting tired and exhausted and burnt out. So I totally agree with you. So Malena and whoever else is watching, we're going to watch a little bit of Vele's YouTube video. But if you like this video, if you're enjoying what I'm sharing so far, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the Expat Woman YouTube channel yet, please do so. And you have to let me know if you can see the video. I'm going to share my screen, because yesterday when I did my LinkedIn training, Ask Me Anything workshop on live stream on YouTube, people couldn't see my screen when I shared it. They only saw black, and I've never shared a video before. Thank you for whoever gave me the thumbs up or the like thing. I appreciate it. So let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. So I'm going to play it, and you let me know if you can see the video.
Transformational traveling that inspires you to look beyond the typical tourist traps, the bucket lists, and let's say the vacation version of junk food. It's about focusing on how travel can not only enhance your own personal growth and well being, but can also contribute to the local.
I don't know why you can't see it. Oh, you see it now? Okay, let me share it again then. Okay. I think it takes a little while for it to show up. So let me share my screen again, and I might have to go back a little bit. So just remember, it might
A way to travel.
Let's start again.
Let's say the vacation version of junk food. It's about focusing on how travel
Okay.
beyond the typical.
Okay.
So, to start, what is transformational travel and how can it help you to create life changes? Transformational travel is a way of traveling that inspires you to look beyond the typical tourist traps, the bucket lists, and let's say the vacation version of junk food. It's about focusing on how travel can not only enhance your own personal growth and well being, but can also contribute to the local community and connect more deeply with the people and natural environments that you encounter along the way. It's really a way to travel and live more deeply. And especially when you are a nomad or an expat, or you want to become one, or you have been one before, this type of travel can really help you to become more intentional about the places you visit and can help you to create that feeling of home away from home that I was talking about, because it allows you to connect more with yourself and your surroundings. And you get to know yourself on a deeper level, while at the same time discovering incredible new places and experiences in the country you have moved to or are visiting. So, how do you do that? How do you create a life changing journey like that? Sounds great, but
If you're just joining me, I'm sharing this video by one of my members, Vele Bellin, who is a travel coach. And this is a video she created last year for the Expat Woman Audio Summit, talking about transformational travel. And I mentioned at the beginning of my live stream that I didn't know such a thing existed, transformational travel, till last year. And Vele and I got connected. She's a member of the Expat Woman membership as well. And I will share a link to the Expat Woman membership in the description if you want to learn more about it. But this is a little bit about her insights into transformational travel. So let's keep going.
How actually practically are you going to do that? So I'm going to divide this into three categories. The first one is before you travel, the second while you travel, and the third one after your travel. So let's dive into that. First of all, before you travel. A life changing journey really starts before you jump on the plane. It starts with that call or desire that you feel to discover a new place. First of all, you can ask yourself the following questions, and you don't have to write these down now. You can access them after this talk in the free guide that I have for you that you can download. So, whether you're watching the video or just listening to the audio, and perhaps you're on a walk or traveling, actually, that would be cool. Don't worry about the questions, you can access them later as well. So, some of the questions you can ask yourself is, why do I travel? Why do I want to travel now? What is the change that I'm looking for? Who am I now and who do I want to become? And how can travel help me with this change? And preparing for your trip is not just about choosing a destination, it also involves internal preparation because you will also go on an inner journey. And to support your inner journey, it really helps to set an intention. This is not a to do list, but it's looking at the purpose of your trip and aligning yourself with that. So, for example, an intention that you could set could be, I intend to be open and curious for what I encounter on my trip and to connect more deeply with myself and others. Or, I intend to live in the present moment, avoid distractions, and fully immerse myself in the new experiences of the place I'm visiting. And in the free guide that I have for you, you can write down your intention as well so that you can look back at it later. Because eventually, what I said about inner journeys, it's that wherever you go, you take yourself. It's this reminder that I also tell myself often, because when you plan a trip, you're often focused on the destination and just on what you are going to do, but you forget that you take yourself. So part of this process, this preparation process, is really asking yourself those questions so that you don't only focus on the outer journey, but take yourself with you and really take the best version of yourself. So, another important part of that is really before you start packing your stuff, basically, to start unpacking first. And as you may know, my company is called Unpack by Veer. And this is the thought that was behind it when I founded my coaching business in 2020. It's about unpacking yourself from anything that is holding you back in your life. And it's letting go of that weight that you are carrying around, that emotional baggage, maybe, that you can really travel through life in a lighter and more joyful way. So it's really about taking some time to explore what weight you are carrying around that no longer serves you. Is it something from the past or a worry about the future? And what can you let go of so that you will feel freer in your journey? So take some time to explore those questions. You can do it now or later, but it really is helpful to focus on this unpacking part of the journey as well. Finally, when you choose your destination, think about your purpose for your trip and how specific destinations can support you with that and provide opportunities. For example, does the destination connect you with nature or helps you to immerse in a new culture or gives you an opportunity to challenge yourself? And you can also consider if the destination will push you out of your daily habits and can create more awareness and can inspire you to create new connections. So let's move on to the second phase now while you are traveling. And let's start with those connections first. So much of what makes a trip transformational is about the connections you create. When you plan your trip and when you plan your trip being intentional about creating connections, you will notice how life changing this can be. And I'm talking about all forms of connection. So the connection to yourself, the connection to others, the connection to a place, and also the connection to something bigger than yourself, however you want to call that, the universe or something else, whatever resonates with you, right? And this connection is also especially relevant when you travel after moving countries as well. So, when you are in a new country, you can ask yourself, how do you relate to yourself and to others and to the place you move to, or the place you want to explore, and how do you relate to life in general? Besides seeking connection, another important part is disconnecting. We are all spending so much time on our phones and online these days, and travel can be a great way to tune all the external noise off for a moment and fully immerse yourself in the present moment. And if you find this challenging while you're traveling, because you also want to keep people updated about your adventures, you can also create a disconnection plan for yourself. And this disconnection plan is basically a few agreements that you set for yourself to help you become more present. For example, you can say, I only check my messages once a day. The rest of the day, I will put my phone on airplane mode. This is something I like to do actually. Or I only check my phone when I'm in my hotel room. Outside, I'm completely immersed in the present moment. In the free guide that I have for you, I have included some space to dive deeper into this as well. And another tip that I have for you, if you want to focus on your inner and outer journey and make it transformational, is to journal. When you take a travel journal with you on your trip, you can intentionally give yourself moments to reflect on your experiences. And travel creates a state of mind in which you are more receptive to new insights and a deeper connection with your intuition. So, journaling is a great way to tap into that and bring beautiful insights or ideas to the surface. And in the free guide, I've included some beautiful journaling prompts that can help you while you're traveling as well. So, definitely check that out. Another great way to make your travels more transformational is to really tap into your senses. And what I mean with this is to take the time to observe what is happening around you, but also how it affects you. For example, pay attention to the smells, the sounds, the temperature, or other sensations like the breeze in the air. By fully engaging all of your senses, you become more present in the moment and deepen your experience. Travel is an amazing opportunity to meet yourself. Often, travel is used to escape from our busy daily lives, and this works for a moment until we get back home and forget about the relaxation we felt in one day once we get back to our daily routines again. I'm sure you can relate. So, what if you don't use travel to escape life, but for life not to escape you? What if after your travels, you feel like an upgraded version of yourself instead of someone who just had a quick break and is dreading to go back to work? The change not only happens before and during your travels, but also afterwards. So let's move on to that last phase after you travel. During the last moments of your travels and when you return home, I invite you to take some time to reflect on your journey. Reflect on both the inner journey you have been on and the external journey. Reflect on the places you've been to, the connections you have made, the new things you have tried, how you feel about yourself in this journey, and what home means to you, seen from a distance. And ask yourself, what did stand out to you? What do you want to continue to take with you into your life after these travels? What are the lessons you have learned or the inspiration you have gained from your life's path and from your travels? Did being in a new space reveal anything about yourself or your life to you? Is there anything you want to change going forward? Did you discover anything unexpected? Did you feel a sense of belonging or like you were part of something bigger than yourself? Returning home after traveling or when moving countries can be really challenging. And I shared that with you before, right? My challenge of returning to my passport country, the Netherlands. And asking yourself these questions and being reflective on your experiences can really help to lighten things up and give you self empowerment to take the next steps when things may feel challenging. So I really recommend you or invite you to think about those questions and take some time for you to reflect on those and really ask yourself, what change do you want to see in your life? Is there anything that feels out of balance or that is missing? Is there something you want to let go of or something you want to add in your life? You can find all of these questions in the free guide as well, so don't worry about them now. Perhaps when you're on a walk or when you're listening to this, it is a beautiful moment to reflect on those questions as well. But as I said before, journaling can also be a great way to find some answers to those questions. And it can be really challenging to make time for the practice that I've shared with you today.
All right, so that was a clip from Vile Bellin, who is a travel coach, a member of the Expat Woman membership, and she was also a speaker at the Expat Woman Audio Summit last year. So this is the video of part of her presentation. I also interviewed Vile on this YouTube channel, so I'll share a link to that video interview in the description of this video. But as you can see, travel can really be transformational, and she's given us tools and tips on how to make the most of travel before, during, and after. Let me know in the chat. I see there's some new folks who've joined me. Has there been any trip that you've made abroad that has made you more intentional about travel, transformed you, opened your eyes to a whole new world? As I shared at the beginning of this video, for me, it was my first trip abroad, which was Egypt and Israel. I had never been out of the country, out of India before that. And of course, I didn't go with any intention. I was just excited about taking a plane across a continent to go to a new country and visit it and try the food. But it was kind of like, as I said, I lived in a bubble because so I was one of those people growing up. I only read fiction. I only watched fiction movies. I wasn't really into learning about other countries. I don't know. I just feel like now there was so much I could have done, but it's fine. I just was living in this little bubble. Maybe it's because I never left the country. My parents did take me around India. We did visit different cities, and during summer vacation. But I think traveling to those two countries initially for me was transformational. So Marlena says her first time abroad was when she went to the Netherlands by hitchhiking and with a tent, just for nothing. That must have been really transformational. And that's pretty brave. I don't know if today it would be safe, Marlena, the hitchhiking in any country. I think the tent is fine, but that sounds really exciting and fun. And that's a different kind of travel, right? Where you travel um, like, I guess, on a low budget, and you're still enjoying the country, and you're not getting caught in the tourist traps, because I'm sure you were pitching your tents out in the open. But as I said, and maybe even you, Marlena, might agree, and everyone else, I didn't think of travel that it can be help you with your personal growth and with your transformation. And that to me is fascinating. When I last year, when Relay brought this whole thing up, and for us who are live, for me, I don't think, at least for the present, I will live in another country. I've been in the US for a long time. I would love to be experience expat life in some other country, maybe in Europe or Asia, but I don't have the opportunity right now. So for me, it's traveling is like being a temporary expat, because I do my research before I go to the country. But it's really, how can I make the best of that country? How can I find the best deals? How can I make sure I don't get duped and scammed, etc.? So Marlena was saying something. Marlena said her trip when she hitchhiked across the Netherlands was the most, it was not, it was better than the most expensive trip. Maybe not safe, but it helped her with building, I guess, building your confidence and your self-awareness. And you may not have even thought about it, but I think every time we travel, it opens us up to new worlds and creates transformations that we may not even be aware of. And learning about new people, I just think the world is, fabulous. Not all of us can be expats, but if we have that opportunity to travel to another country, and not everywhere is expensive. Sometimes you can find really good deals, affordable flights, and go to places where things are, you can afford stuff. I think it is possible. Some people would rather spend their money on maybe a new car, and then other people would rather spend it on travel, because there's this whole world and it's so exciting to learn about different cultures and cuisines, etc. What I've noticed, and again, this is not all Americans, but for a lot of Americans, their idea of travel is going to Hawaii or Cabo. And again, it's like, you're going to Mexico, but then you're staying in a resort with other tourists. You're doing like touristy stuff. You're not really learning about the culture. Maybe even the food is very westernized, Americanized, maybe. Or if you're having Mexican food, it's really catering to a American palate. And I sometimes think they're spending so much on these trips abroad, but not really going to a place where maybe it would expose them. And I think when we travel abroad, when we go to different countries, is- with cultures very different from us, it makes us, as I said earlier, makes us more empathetic, makes us more, builds our cultural intelligence, helps us learn more about another country and about their customs, and respecting those customs. It makes us more tolerant. And I think the world would be a better place if people had this opportunity to travel to different countries and learn about those cultures, instead of just going to the usual travel tips. Maybe once we understand, no, not everyone in that country is like this, that is just stereotype, because we all come with stereotypes. These people from this country are like this country is really dirty, this country people are very unfriendly and cold. We just have all these preconceived notions or misconceptions, and travel across countries, across borders, breaks down some of those. I see people coming in and out. I unfortunately can't see who's joining me, but if you are joining me, you enjoy this video, please hit the like button, and subscribe to this channel. This whole month, I am focusing on travel, transformational travel. Every month, I have a theme. So the themes are within the Expat Woman membership, which is my paid platform for high performing, I would say high achieving, purpose driven women living abroad. And then I bring those themes to the larger Expat Woman community, to my YouTube videos. So next week, I'll be talking about travel destinations. Let me just check the exact topic. So I'll be talking about top global destinations for expats where they can travel for culture, adventure, and growth. So every Thursday in this month, I'm going live at 9 a.m. PST on this YouTube channel. And then on May 15th, we talk about products and apps, must have apps for smart, stress-free travel to make your travel also more affordable. Then the 22nd, May 22nd, I'll be talking about how to use LinkedIn when you travel, because that's what I do. I use LinkedIn to connect with people who live in those countries I'm traveling to. I also use it sometimes to get the news about that country, send people DMs to find out about stuff there. Are there events happening there? So that will happen on May 22nd. And then and I'll also do some virtual networking. So I'll encourage people to join and then connect with each other in the chat. And then May 29th, I do a monthly roundup of news, reviews, and trends for that month. So that will be on May 29th. So hopefully you will join me for some of these or all of them. Just hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I have a new live stream up, so you can join me live or watch the replay. But if you have you want to add any insights, questions, etc., do so in the chat. If you're watching the replay, do share in the comments what is something that you experience, like what's one transformation you experienced when you traveled abroad, or which is your favorite country that you visited that really had where you had this spectacular experience, or what is an app you use when you travel abroad, or products that you take with you, the must have products or must have apps to help you with making travel easier. uh, so if you have any responses to any of those questions, you can either share them in the chat now or in the comments once this video is done. And again, if you like this video, please hit the like button, please subscribe to the channel and share it with your with people who you think might enjoy it. And I'll also include the link, as I said earlier, to Vile's interview with me on travel. So thank you so much for watching this. I hope you have a wonderful day and happy travels with summer and vacation around the corner. I hope this motivates you to think about travel and transformational travel. Bye for now.